everyone, I'm Gia, your community manager. Today we'll be taking a deep dive into base building, the feature that lets you make your own dream home
or castle
in our big open world. We'll also be answering some questions from our community. If you want to have your questions featured in the next video, be sure to join the Witchspire Discord. Let's talk about Witchspire.
Let's do it. Yeah, this is really exciting because this is the first time we're actually doing a feature reveal, but it's also the first time we're really showing gameplay, right? We're actually going to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit and see some in-game footage today. We're obviously not showing everything. We're showing some things, and then what you're about to see is painfully early and very much still work in progress. You know, please forgive. There's going to be some placeholders.
I think that's something. Yeah, keep in mind that the VFX artist says it's not ready. Yep. It's not there. But we want to involve you early as we can. And I think this is a stage where we can show something really cool.
Yeah. Show
our intentions. While getting your feedback.
Definitely. So what you're about to see now is the building mechanic from Witchspire. And Witchspire, it's an open world survival adventure game, right? So building is obviously a real key component to any survival game. Your chance of being able to actually settle down in this big open world.
I think one big piece when we talk about Witchspire is it is survival in a world of magic and wonder. Yeah. I think what we're trying to do is look at the survival genre and also, adventure games and see what can we do different. And we have a tool for that, which is magic. It's something that whenever we make a feature, is there anything cool we could do with magic? Yeah. And almost always there is.
Yeah, I think as you're playing the game, you're gonna definitely feel like many of the mechanics are familiar, no pun intended, but we're trying to kind of look at how can we just improve on a core mechanic with that theme of magic. And so one really good example is astral projection, right? As you're building a base, you have this ability to leave the physical realm behind and enter this sort of astral projection form, this kind of spirit form. And as you're hovering around, you can really build to your heart's content. You can build very freely. You don't have to worry about fall damage. You don't have to build sort of an awkward ramp going up to your big tower that you might be constructing. You just really focus on building freely. So it's a nice way for us to introduce magic, but also solve some design problems and kind of enhance the experience of building your base in a really fun and thematic way. At the center of your base is going to be your hearth. It's probably the first thing that you're going to place down into the world. And as you kind of progress and as you expand on that base, you're going to be feeding that hearth.
So that allows you to basically be protected in a larger area, but also build freely in this large bubble around the hearth. Another thing worth mentioning is you can build multiple hearths. There is going to be a limit that you can sort of unlock through progression. But this means that if you want to build a base in the first biome and one in the second, the desert or the tundra, you can do that and have multiple bases. You don't have to abandon the old ones or anything like that. We'll allow you to be creative and have a summer house if you want somewhere.
And you'll definitely be able to find ways to travel between your different bases more efficiently as well, although that's something that comes into play a little bit later in the game as well. It's going to require a bit of effort for you to build that perfect network between your bases.
It's really important for us that your base feels like home. For you, your familiars, and of course, any friends online that you play with.
Okay, so we have questions for the community, and it's gonna be super excited, and we're so happy that you guys have given us questions that we can answer.
Yeah, and that you're engaging and just showing interest in this. It's really fun.
We love that.
Super nice to see, especially on the Discord community on Steam. It's really nice. So thank you for being part of this.
Our first question is, will building always start with a frame skeleton as shown in the cinematic trailer before adding roof tiles and external components?
Right.
From Jaffa Arkfiend.
Jaffa Arkfiend.
Jaffa Arkfiend.
That's a cool name.
Thank you so much for your question.
It's a good question, right? I think we're talking a little bit about that screenshot that's on the store page now, where you can see a lot of the beams and parts of the building kind of coming together. You don't have to build your house or your base that way. I think generally for us, it's been really important that players have a lot of freedom in how they create. So like one example is right now you can kind of build a base that's floating in the air.
You can build it. We're really trying to push creativity first. So if you want to do something that's illogical, like weight-wise or otherwise, we'll allow it. I think allowing people to be creative, creating things that we haven't thought of before is I mean, honestly, one of the main driving factors, right? Seeing like somebody create something and going like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to those examples again of like a building that's floating and it doesn't quite feel logical, doesn't feel realistic, we want you to be able to do that. I think where we might push a little bit further is having some kind of sparkles or VFX that give you that feeling like, oh, it's floating because of magic. But if you want to build a very grounded and realistic house that takes kind of structural integrity into account, or castle, you can do that. Like there's nothing stopping you from making a realistic house, but we don't want to limit that creativity.
Exactly, and well, of course, you know, you'll be able to build the types of buildings you see in the screenshots and build them, you know, the more classical witch's hut, those sort of things. But my dream is that somebody makes something that we really haven't predicted.
Will there be a strict grid snapping structure for building, or will players be able to swap between angles for free rotation? From Mosa.
Well, Mosa, I think we're looking at a sort of an in-between. You can turn on and off snapping, basically. So if you want assisted grid and the placement of like, you know, I don't want to bother going off grid and creating chaos for myself. However, we'll also allow you to go off grid within very tiny margins.
Yeah, think of it as it's there to help you, not restrict you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
That's so cool.
hope you like your answer, Mosa. Will there be a build limit on the size of or number of structures you can build? Will we be able to build several different houses in different locations? And if so, will there be a build limit?
So one thing to contextualize is, as a witch, one of the things you can build is a hearth. It is the center of your base and creates sort of this magical bubble, and you can build very freely within it. You can build outside, however, some limitations may apply. Within this bubble, you're completely free, and you can build a few of these around the world. So we don't force you to, like if you come to a new biome and you wanna, in the desert, you wanna put up a summer home there,
Yay.
That's something you can do and still have your old base and you can travel between them. However, it's something you have to unlock through progression.
In terms of sort of limitations there, it really comes back to things like optimization. We'd love to let the player build really massive structures and kind of go crazy. And I think it's just something we're still fine tuning and seeing how far we can push that for the sake of performance and things like this. But certainly we're hoping that players put down a bunch of different homes and bases and just keep building around the whole world. I'll give you one little tidbit, which is just sort of a fun detail. How far away you can see your homes and your creations is something that we're really happy about, because at the moment you can see your base from about 5 kilometers away. And that might not sound super exciting just by itself, but when you actually walk through the world and then you start that trek back home, and when you see like, oh, that's our house, that's that little tower we built, you know, an hour ago, and now we're moving towards it. Being able to see it that far away, you really feel like you're making your mark on the world. Which is super,
and that is
special.
Far in the context of games. Let's just say that's far.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, guys.
Shout out to Josh, our lead programmer, for making that happen.
And thank you, the Ace of Rogues, for asking the question. With co-op, will multiple people be able to work on the same section of a building to make it faster, cheaper, or will each player only be able to handle one component? For example, towers versus floors. From Jaffa, Arcfiend.
I think this is one of those where we're still iterating a little bit on that cooperative aspect of like how things are getting placed. Generally speaking, we really want to make sure that it's easy and fun to play with your friends. So if you're building something together, it should be quite a rewarding experience and you feel like you're helping each other out rather than sort of blocking each other.
I agree, and I think as of now, generally when you place a piece, you've built it. I think this is something, I mean, there are multiple other types of features here where you could like place down a blueprint. Yeah. We're not looking at doing them right now. I think it's something we want to see if the community really wants, then that might be something we want to add in during early access.
I think that part of the dream of being a witch who's sort of conjuring a house is it should feel like you're quite powerful, right? Like it should feel quick and satisfying and easy to create things. And so right now we have a system which is quite easy and smooth and streamlined.
Very snappy.
So we don't have, like you're saying, Oliver, that kind of blueprint step in between. So I think that actually helps a lot when you're playing together, is you don't have to worry about those extra steps. And if you want to, if you regret placing a piece, you can remove it really easily. I think that's it's quite a nice feeling at the moment.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
Will there be a lot of pieces to build with?
Yes, there will be quite a large variety of things that you can use, but I think also because it's an early access game, and I think we'll start with a good, healthy variety, and then definitely we want to add more and more different kind of building pieces as we go along towards 1.0 and beyond. Our ultimate dream with Witchspire is that 5 years from now we're sitting here talking about like the latest update, the latest expansion, whatever it might be, and continuously adding things based on requests from the community, or just we have a large backlog of fun ideas that we want to get to one day.
Too many.
Yeah, too many. So I think that's the thing, right? Whenever you're doing an early access release, you have to look at every single system and really ask, like, how far can we push this for that first release? And so I think you'll be quite satisfied with the variety for building and for being creative at the very start of early access. But definitely we're not going to be happy until we fill that list with even more, right?
Will this affect durability, quality, or be pure cosmetic?
So we lean towards pure creativity, allowing people to build their bases in sort of any manner or material that they want to. It should feel like a home, not sort of like you can build a castle, but it doesn't have to be a fort.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and just to be clear, like on the durability and integrity and things like that is not mechanics that we have. Yeah. We've made a pretty conscious decision, as we kind of have to talk about survival a little bit actually to answer this, but
it's true.
Survival games in general will have a lot of these kind of passive drain mechanics like hunger or thirst. There's often things like durability, and a lot of those things are quite limiting, quite punishing. They're things that sort of push you back. For us with Witchspire, we're much more interested in kind of giving you that drive to explore and to be creative and to go out into the world. Oliver, you like to say, as you push into the world pushes back, right? But when you're building a base, there are limits, but your base isn't going to kind of decay. It's not going to be attacked by anything. It's safe and sound, basically.
I'd rather encourage the player to, hey, I want to build more, I want to build these things, rather than having to maintain what I already have.
Exactly. So durability, by definition, is not a mechanic in the game. Instead, and this is kind of more of a crafting thing. I'm going to spoil something for probably one of the future feature reveals. Whenever you craft an item in the game, it may kind of come out with a rarity, right? So you might have like a common version of, let's say, a tool that you use for chopping down trees. But if you craft it again, maybe you'll get a rare version or even an epic version. And so it's more incentive driven rather than being kind of limiting and punishing.
Yeah, encourage rather than punish.
I'm spoiling things left and right here.
Yeah, that's fine.
The whole game is going to be spoiled on this feature reveal.
Will we be able to paint, color, build pieces from Mulberry? Will we?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet. This is one of those things that's kind of on our wish list at the moment. And I think either it makes it into early access as release, or maybe it's something that we can kind of add further down the line. We'll see.
It's something we're planning for, definitely.
Yeah.
Will there be plenty of ways to decorate both inside and outside? For example, using magic to change terrain, create new trees, ponds, etc. From Mozambique.
Yes and no, I guess, is kind of the answer to that. I think some of those examples, we definitely have ways that you can impact the world around you, but not on the level of kind of altering the terrain or conjuring a lake or something, although that is a very fun idea. I like that. You are able to plant or kind of summon a forest. You're able to pull down a meteor filled with ore. There's a couple ways that you can impact the world. But in terms of decorations, we've got a few different layers. We got furniture, we've got your different workstations and things like that you can place. So you do have a chance to design the interior, but also the exterior of your base.
And plants and foliage, and of course we mentioned trees.
Yeah, and different places for you as well to bring your familiars in and just make that home feel like home, like a cozy place. I think a key thing there is for us, your base is not a factory, right? It's very much a home for you and your friends.
Assuming it uses materials in a traditional survival crafting sense, will we be able to craft from storage? Mulberry.
That's a really good question. I think the answer to this is it depends a little bit, and it depends a bit on where you're crafting, right? So this is I think a little less related to building as a mechanic and more sort of to the crafting of different items, materials, and things like that. We'll probably get a bit deeper into this in a future video, but I think what I would say is that there are some kind of workstations and the like that are going to automatically pull resources from other chests and from other storages automatically, and there are some where you have to kind of manually bring them. So it plays a little bit into the progression of the game, but yeah, we'll dive deeper into that in the future. It's a fun question.
Can houses be destroyed by enemies?
Good question. Not something that we're planning right now for the launch of early access. So your base, essentially, we talked about the Hearth a little bit, the Hearth being sort of that center point of the base. Think of your Hearth as like a protective sphere as well. It's
safe zone.
A safe zone. Yeah. So your home is safe from any kind of threats. You're not going to get enemies kind of walking into there. Maybe something we expand on in the future, but not something that's part of the plan right now.
Exactly. I think when we looked at it as well, we decided against it just because we want players to be able to be creative, not be scared that their buildings are going to get destroyed. I think there might be a world in which we do this, but I think we're really going to have to see how the community likes the building and likes that experience to make a decision there.
Yeah, I think if we ever do something like that, it would be an option.
I think
something
so.
for the players who want that.
Yeah.
I think generally, when we talk about Witchspire, as like it's a survival adventure game, but it's quite welcoming to new players. I really don't think that you need to have played any similar games before. It's not hardcore in that sense. We have a lot of these mechanics that are quite friendly. At the same time, if you want more of a challenge, I mean, we have an option for permadeath, for example. We have an option for familiar permadeath too. Like, there are plenty of things you can do to raise that challenge. And I think if we ever were to implement some kind of like base defense, that would probably fall into that category of like an optional challenge that you can turn on and play around with a little bit.
Will there be any incentive to create relatively big builds? Many survival games lack motivation if builds don't provide functional value. From January 16.
So I would say we're definitely leaning on the side of creativity. However, that said, you might want to expand with multiple furnaces and multiple spinners that produce thread from cotton and those sort of things. More room to have familiars, assign them, and generally just more space for the things that are part of the crafting loop, and also the sort of having space for your familiars.
Yeah, like a bigger base supports more things, more stations to craft from, more room for chests, more things like that. But a big building by itself isn't necessarily sort of better than a small building, right? It's just going to support more things for you. And that example of a spinner, you would specifically be assigning a familiar to work in that spinner. And so, finding the right kind of familiar, building that station, maybe building a second one if you want to be crafting more materials faster. There's plenty of reasons why you might want to build a bigger base, but I think the player who just isn't a huge fan of building and more just wants to get out into the world and have a more functional base, they're going to be fine. It just won't be as efficient, maybe.
Thank you so much.
Don't leave me hanging.
I didn't notice. Here you go.
And thank you so much for tuning into our first feature reveal for Witchspire. And we are so honored that you guys were asking questions and commenting on our Discord. So I just want to say, check us out on Steam, join our Discord, we're on socials, come and be social. Thank you so much.
Thank you.